Hello, and welcome back to Daily English Talk. My name is Emily, and I'm really happy you're here with me today. I always imagine you listening somewhere quiet, maybe at home, maybe on a walk, maybe just taking a break from your day. And I like the idea that for these minutes, we're just slowing down together and speaking English in a calm, natural way. Today, I want to talk about the new year. Not in a formal or textbook way, but in a real way, the way people actually talk about it in everyday life. The new year is such a special moment for so many people, and not because something magical happens at midnight, but because it makes us stop and think. I've noticed that when the new year comes, people often become a little quieter inside. Even very busy, very loud people suddenly start reflecting. They think about what the last year gave them, what it took from them, what they learned, and what they hope will be different. And this is exactly how New Year conversations usually start. Someone might ask you how your New Year was or what you did, and behind that simple question, there is often curiosity, warmth, and a little bit of shared emotion. When people ask about your New Year, they don't expect a perfect answer. They don't expect a big story. Most of the time, they just want to connect for a moment. And that's why the English you need for these conversations is actually very simple. I remember when I was younger, I thought every new year had to be exciting. I thought if I stayed home, it meant something was wrong. I felt like I should be at a party with many people, loud music, fireworks, photos, and big emotions. And sometimes I did that. And sometimes it was fun. But sometimes it was also exhausting. Over time, I started noticing something interesting. Many people around me were quietly choosing different kinds of New Year's. Some stayed home with family, some went to bed early, some worked, some traveled. And all of these New Year's were valid. This year, for example, my New Year was very simple. I didn't travel anywhere. I didn't dress up. I didn't rush. I spent the evening at home, and it felt exactly right for me at this moment in my life. Earlier that day, I cleaned my apartment a little bit, not because I had to, but because it helps my mind feel clear. I cooked a warm meal, something easy, something familiar. As the evening came, I turned on soft lights, made tea, and just let the time pass slowly. At midnight, I didn't jump or shout. I just paused. I stood near the window, listened to the sounds outside, heard distant fireworks, and felt this quiet sense of transition. One year ending, another beginning. No pressure, just awareness. When someone later asked me how my New Year was, I didn't need to think. I just said it was calm, that I stayed home, that it felt good. And that answer felt honest and complete. What I've learned over the years is that New Year conversations are not about impressing people. They're about sharing a small piece of how you feel. Some people feel excited about the future. Some feel tired from the past year. Some feel hopeful. Some feel unsure. Very often, people feel a mix of everything. I've talked to friends who had very busy New Years, working long shifts, taking care of family, traveling between cities. And when they talk about it, they don't use complicated words. They just talk about being tired, about missing home, about looking forward to rest. I've also talked to people who celebrated a lot, who went to big parties, who stayed awake until morning. And even then, their stories are simple. They talk about laughter, about friends, about moments that felt alive. This is something important for you as an English learner to understand. You don't need special vocabulary to talk about the new year. You just need honest language. The new year is also a time when people naturally start talking about the future. Not in a serious planning way, but in a soft, hopeful way. People say things like they want to take better care of themselves, or spend more time with loved ones, or finally do something they've been thinking about for a long time. I hear this a lot from people learning English. Many of them quietly say that the new year makes them want to feel more confident, to finally speak without fear, to stop translating every sentence in their head. And I think that's a beautiful goal. What I always tell them is that confidence doesn't come from suddenly knowing everything. It comes from speaking simply and often, from allowing yourself to sound human, not perfect. New Year conversations are a great place to practice that. They are slow, they are emotional, they are forgiving, People listen more with their heart than with their grammar checklists. Sometimes the new year also brings pressure. I felt that too. The feeling that you should change everything, that you should become a new person, overnight. But real change doesn't work like that. It's quiet, it's gradual, it's made of small decisions, and that's very similar to learning English. You don't wake up one day fluent, you slowly get used to the language, you start understanding more, you start feeling more comfortable. One day you realize you're not afraid anymore, and you don't even remember exactly when that changed. When people talk about the new year, they often talk about the past year as well. About lessons learned, about moments they're grateful for, about things they want to leave behind. These conversations are often gentle and honest. I've had conversations where someone simply said the year was hard, but they survived. And that sentence carried so much meaning, even though the English was very simple. And this is why I love this topic so much. The new year reminds us that language is not about showing off, it's about connection. As we keep talking, I want you to stay in this calm space. Imagine you're just listening to a friend, not studying, not memorizing, just absorbing the rhythm and the feeling of the language. We'll continue exploring this topic, moving naturally into how people talk about hopes, small plans, fears, and quiet expectations for the year ahead, all in the same gentle, real way. As we stay in this feeling of the new year, I want to talk a little more deeply about something I see every year in people around me. When January comes, conversations change. They become slower, more thoughtful. Even small talk feels a bit different. People don't just ask how you are out of habit, they actually listen. I notice this especially in the first days after the new year. People come back to work or to their normal routine, and instead of rushing, they pause. They ask how your holidays were, how you're feeling, what you're hoping for. And very often, the answers are not loud or dramatic. They are quiet and honest. Someone might say, they're tired, but in a good way. Someone else might say, they feel strange, like they're not sure what this year will bring. Someone might smile and say they feel motivated, but also a little scared. And all of these answers are completely normal. I've learned that the new year often gives people permission to be honest. Honest about their energy, their dreams, their fears. And that honesty doesn't need big words. It needs simple language and a calm tone. I remember talking to a friend a few years ago, just after the new year. She had everything that looked successful from the outside. A good job, a busy social life, big plans. But when I asked her how she felt about the new year, she paused and said she just wanted peace. She didn't want to run anymore. She wanted to feel calm. She didn't explain much. She didn't analyze her life. She just said that one word, peace. And that moment stayed with me, because it reminded me how powerful simple language can be. Another person I spoke to around the same time said the opposite. He felt full of energy. He talked about wanting to try new things, travel more, meet new people. His words were simple too, but the feeling was completely different. And both conversations felt real. This is why the new year is such a rich topic for English learners. You can say very little and still say something meaningful. You don't need to perform. You don't need to explain your whole life story. Sometimes people ask me how to talk about hopes and plans for the new year in English without sounding fake or too ambitious. And I always say the same thing. Talk small. Talk honestly. You don't need to say you're going to change your life. You can say you want to sleep better, you want to worry less, you want to enjoy simple moments more. These are real goals, and they sound very natural in English. I've also noticed that as people get older, their New Year conversations become softer. When we're young, we talk about doing more, achieving more, becoming more. Later, we talk about balance, health, and peace of mind. I feel that change in myself too. Years ago, my New Year thoughts were loud. Now they are quieter. I don't feel the need to promise myself big things. I just want to be present. I want to live my days with less pressure. And when I talk about this in English, I don't need complex sentences. I just say what I feel. That's enough. For many people learning English, the new year also brings mixed emotions. Hope, yes, but also doubt. I hear this a lot from listeners and students. They say they want this year to be the year they finally feel confident speaking English. but they're afraid they'll fail again. And I always want to tell them this. Learning a language is not a New Year resolution you succeed or fail at. It's a relationship. Some days are easy, some days are hard, but if you stay connected, you grow. The new year is not a deadline. It's just a moment, and you're allowed to move at your own pace. I've seen people make progress in very quiet ways. They don't announce it, they don't talk about it, they just keep listening, keep practicing, keep showing up. And one day, they realize something has changed. They understand more, they hesitate less, they feel more relaxed, and that change feels natural, not forced. This is exactly why I like this kind of calm English practice. It fits the rhythm of real life. Real life doesn't happen in lessons. It happens in moments like these, in conversations about weekends, about years ending, about years beginning. Sometimes the new year also brings sadness. Not everyone had a good year. Not everyone is excited about the future. And that's okay too. I've had conversations where someone simply said they were glad the year was over. No explanation, just relief. And that sentence said everything. English allows space for that kind of honesty. You don't need to decorate it. You don't need to hide it. I think this is something learners don't hear enough. You are allowed to sound simple. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to feel something while you speak. If you're listening to this and you're at the beginning of your English journey, or even somewhere in the middle, I want you to know that your voice matters, even if it's quiet right now. The new year often makes us think about who we are and who we want to become. And language is part of that. Language gives us tools to express ourselves, to connect, to feel less alone. Every time you listen to English like this, not rushed, not aggressive, just human, you're training your ear and your heart at the same time. You're learning how English sounds when it's real, when it's used to share life, not pass tests. And that's what I want Daily English Talk to be for you. A place where English feels safe. A place where you can listen without stress. A place where you can slowly build confidence, sentence by sentence, thought by thought. As this new year begins, wherever you are in your life, I hope you allow yourself to be patient with your goals, with your emotions, with your English. You don't need to rush. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to continue. If this kind of calm, natural English helps you, if you enjoy these long, gentle conversations, I invite you to subscribe to Daily English Talk. By subscribing, you support the channel and make sure you don't miss future episodes where we talk about real life, real feelings, and real English. Thank you for being here with me. I truly appreciate your time, and I'm really glad we're starting this year together.